Hello, old friends and franchise mavens. I am Greg Mohr. That's Gregmohr. You can reach me at 361-772-6401 or Greg at franchisemaven.com. That's MAV as in Victor, EN.com. We are going through my book, Real Freedom, Why Franchises Are Worth Considering and How They Can Be Used for Building Wealth. On our last installment, over on Chapter 3, we talked about different levels of franchising: single, masters, area developer franchise. We went over Cat's story. We defined the pros and cons of each level, and Cat 2 is on his way to building an empire. In our next step, we will go into more detail about the different levels of franchises. With single, master, and area developer franchises, there are two types of businesses: brick and mortar and services franchise, which we will go over. One thing people ask me: if I invest more money, will I get a higher return on investment? No, that is not necessarily true, which brings us to Patrick's story and Chapter 4, investment levels. So Patrick was looking for a brick and mortar franchise with his dad. We will go over what he was looking for, why he was looking for it, and what he wanted to accomplish. So brick and mortar franchises, you build it and they will come. There's a general theme on that. When you're looking at brick and mortar franchise, you want to look at franchises who have a real estate team that finds the real estate for you. Not only are they going to find the real estate for you, but also you want them to do the lease negotiation for you as well. A great franchise system will not expect you to be the prime real estate person. They will expect you to be a good business person, but not necessarily know how to find the right real estate. But when a brick and mortar franchise, you're going to be putting them in an A+ real estate location. People are going to drive by, they're going to see you, and they're going to come into your business. You'll still do marketing and advertising in your area, but it'll be different than the service industry type of marketing and advertising. McDonald's, Burger King, Taco Bell, Supercuts, Great Clips, Meineke, Mako, on some of the computer repair places will be in the brick and mortar strip malls as well. So once we get into the brick and mortar and get that built, we'll be looking at having an exclusive territory. With any franchise systems, they're going to give you an exclusive territory. Territory meaning that you won't be competing with any other franchisees in the same franchise system. Generally speaking, this is true. Probably 90-95% of the time this is true. There may be a few that are different. For the most part, they're going to give you that protected territory. You're going to be looking in that territory, you're going to be looking at a radius, generally speaking, in terms of miles or portions of a mile for your territory, which is a little bit different than the service industry. Brick and mortar is obviously going to be the higher investment level in the services industry. You either have a complete build out or you're in a strip mall location and you just need to refurbish the inside of the location that the franchise has picked out for you. When you're looking at that, generally speaking, about $200,000 to $250,000 on up for a total investment, includes the franchise fee, the build out, everything you need to do to get that business running. So generally speaking, $200,000 to $250,000 on up on that. So for each franchise, when you're looking at the difference between brick and mortar and service industry and any franchises in general, they're going to have certain financial requirements. When you're getting into a brick and mortar franchise, the franchises will be looking for about probably close to a $500,000 net worth from you, with around $100,000 liquid. Basically, they don't want you to run out of more money before you get started. The loan companies will be looking for something like that as well when you're starting a brick and mortar type of franchise. Now, it does vary between franchises on that. Those are just kind of general guidelines on that, since there are a little bit more money on that. Different franchises will do different things with brick and mortar. So with many brick and mortar franchises, you don't necessarily have to put up completely brand new and refurnish the whole thing to make your franchise. There are a few where they will actually buy out privately owned businesses and convert them to franchises for you on that. A lot of the or a couple of the auto service franchises will do that to you. They'll look for privately owned shops that are up for sale, and they'll convert those to their franchise system. So just because you're investing more with a brick and mortar does not necessarily mean that you're going to make more money. Some brick and mortar franchises, bring in a net figure under 6 figures a year, while some service industries bring in a net over 6 figures a year. And the reverse is true too. So it's not dependent on how much you invest. They are, however, very simple to operate. Brick and mortar franchises. You pay your managers good money, having somebody else run them, build out a few of them, get a regional manager to run it. Some of our brick and mortar franchises do bring in quite a large amount of money, and so some of our services industry. So it does vary. But again, the point is, it doesn't necessarily mean if you invest more money that you're going to be bringing in more money. And again, I think I've restated this a few times, but no, I cannot tell you which franchises are making how much money. The Federal Trade Commission does not allow me to do so on that. Only the people that collect it will get that information for you before it's all said and done, but not from me. Service franchises. With the services industry, your clients do not necessarily know you exist until they need you. So you'll need a good franchise system that will drive people to you when the need arises. Think of things like restoration services for fire, water, and smoke damage. When people have a problem at their house, you want your franchise to be the one that pops up first. You want a good franchise system that will drive people to you when the client needs you. This includes senior care, senior placement into facilities, tutoring, restoration services, home improvement services, kitchens, garages, pest control, roofing, irrigation, insulation systems, many different industries, many different things. But the major factor there is it's broke, needs to be fixed now. And you need to be the one popping up when the folks go looking for it. And that's where a good franchise system comes in. So now a service industry, you're probably looking at around $150,000 investment or so, give or take on that one. And again, usually after you get it up and running for a couple of years, you can bring in some really good money on these. They're going to give you, and again, we'll go for that territory size on that one, is that the territory is going to, they're going to be looking at household incomes of 100,000 or more, and they're going to be looking at about 200,000 households or more for their territory on that. So no other franchises will go into that territory. So it doesn't take you a whole lot of people to build that business up to a good moneymaker on that. So what you're going to be looking for in the service franchise industry is a franchise that drives people to you when the need arises. One of the things you may also need is a call center. People will look you up online and make a call. Now, if you don't want to be handling those calls or have a manager handling all those calls, then there's various levels of call centers that the franchises will have in place. You'll want a system that takes a call and schedules that appointment for you. They've got your schedule, they know when you're available, and they schedule the appointment or when your manager is available, in the case of semi-absentee. So look for those, look for the various services of call centers. Some will do many other things. Some of the franchises within the service industry will also produce leads for you, leads being customers. They'll also, they might do quotes online, get an estimate about what get more details about what your client needs, and maybe give them a general estimate on what the cost will be. And then you or your manager or one of your people just shows up on time, goes to the client's place of business or residence, and says, this is what I can do for you. Pretty simple as that. Consultative type selling is what you're doing there. People are already looking for you. They're already looking for you to solve their problems. You just help them in that, whether that be tutoring, whether that be senior care, whether that be home improvement. And they've got an issue, you're there to help them solve it. Some franchises, you can do all the work yourself, working in the business and on the business, meaning that you're just a sole proprietor, you're just the only one doing it. We have franchises like that. But there are others where you may have people doing things for you. Pest control, remodeling, a couple of the ones you just pop into my head right off on that. Some of those things you don't necessarily want to be doing yourself. Most of the time you want to be working on the business and not in the business. And most of the franchises want you working on the business and not in the business itself. Again, there are some where you can be, the person that's out there going and doing all the work yourself. If that's what you enjoy, we can certainly find franchises for you like that. If you want to grow something really big, obviously doing it all yourself is not the way to go. You want other people doing the work for you while you build up the business. And anything that you look at, though, you want a system that's going to show you how to get out there and do the work, so you get a feel for it. As an example, in the senior care industry, you're going to be going through a lot of caregivers. How do you find those caregivers? Where do you look? What should you ask? You want a good franchise system that's going to have all that in place for you, so you're never guessing or wondering, what do I do next? You don't want to be in that position. You want to have a clear plan on the franchise with steps to follow. That's the idea of getting behind a franchise and getting involved in a franchise system, so you give all those steps to follow. Do this, do that, so on and so forth. Again, territory size, Typically 200,000 people or more, typically $100,000 of household incomes or more. The size of your actual territory will depend on the population density. So if it takes 100 square miles to get you 200,000 people, probably not a good area to build a franchise in because you're going to be driving around a lot. So population density is going to be a big factor in just how large your territory is geographically. Again, when it comes to household income, or when you're looking at services of home improvement, pest control, tutoring, generally speaking, $100,000 or more disposable income is what they're looking at there. Within the service industry, there are small office types and one where you can work from home. Work from home, you're going to be doing a little bit less probably than the 150,000. When you work from home, the clients are not coming to you. These are franchises where you will go out and call upon your clients. They won't ever come to your office. You go to them and basically work from home. A lot of the business-to-business franchises are like that, where you go out to the business itself, meet with their team, meet with their people, and help them improve themselves. Again, working from home, obviously a little bit lower investment because now you don't need that office. So you don't have the office equipment that you need. You don't have the police that you need on there. So it's going to be a little bit less. Some of them may be a little bit more than 200,000 if you need a little warehouse space to hold things, maybe up to the $200,000 range. But generally speaking, I think it's right around 150,000 or more. Again, brick and mortar, you build it and they will come. Service industry, your clients don't necessarily know you exist until they need you. As you go through these, you and I will go through the process of determining which one is the right one for you. Okay, that's it for chapter 4. Stay tuned next week for chapter 5, where we will go through financing options. As always, call me anytime you have questions. Greg Mohr, 361-772-6401, or Greg at franchisemaven.com. That's MAV as in Victor, EN. Everybody have a great week.